Well, hello everybody. Thought today in this video I would go through the process of showing you what I do to make segment pieces and stuff. This project is made out of a bunch of scrap woods that I had kicking around. Here I'm cutting the boards into 1/4 inch thicknesses so I can glue these boards together and cut them to make segments, to make segment rings. It can be a slow and tedious process. This video is actually speeded up to 9 times the normal speed. I don't have a thickness sander, so one of the things that I didn't show in the video is once I cut these boards, I do go over to my benchtop belt sander and this sander and I smooth them off the best I can and try to keep them flat. These boards were some leftovers I had kicking around, weren't in very good shape. Here I'm adding the glue on the first piece. The table I'm working on, there was an old desk. It actually an old dresser. And I took the desk apart, which was a 3/4 inch piece of melamine, and I attached it to the top of the dresser, which makes a great gluing table since the melamine the glue doesn't stick to and it's nice and flat. I put the first piece, I put a board between it to help keep it flat. I'm clamping it down here while I give it a chance to set a little bit. Here I'm putting glue on the last sandwich board for the segment boards. Making a segment piece, it's going to have a darker outside and a maple center strip. So it'll be dark, light, and dark. And then I will cut maple and put it between the segments, and then I will use other pieces of maple to separate the rings. And hopefully it gives me some kind of a cross effect where the dark pieces will look like little boxes in the finished product. Here I'm marking out the centers of some pieces I've cut to make the body and the base. And of course I mark them out to find the center of each piece. And then drill them out. And this way I can use a dowel or I use an Allen cable the same size as the bit. And while I'm gluing them together, I push it through the middle. And it helps to give me the ability to get the pieces centered while I'm clamping them with the glue. Next process is to cut the segments. I've already cut the boards into lengths a good 1.25 inches wide. And once all the segments are cut, then I have to go to the sander. Sorry, my hand is kind of in the way, but you have to touch up all the edges. I've set up a little 15-degree thing for my sanding disc. As you can see, I'm touching up the edges and making sure they're smooth, which will help when I glue them together so not to have gaps and such. And once you've sanded all your pieces and got the edges fixed up, you start to glue them together. I take them, put the glue on, and I glue them into pairs. Each segment ring will have 12 segments with 12 spacers. And yes, it can be a time-consuming process. But you line them up the best you can with your fingers, press and hold them for a couple of seconds until the groove sets a little bit. look at the back of these, you can see the design kind of what I'm hoping it will look like with the finished product. White line in the middle with the dark edges, and then a spacer, a light spacer in between, making it look sort of like a cross effect. I'm taking the double pieces, adding a piece, and I'll glue them into half rings. Once the half rings are complete, take them, fit a band, and I put a piece of dowel in between the joints. It helps to make it float. Tap it down flat and let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. And here we see the rings glued together. Sorry, I didn't record putting the two halves together. Sometimes you have to take the halves and line them up and take them over the sander and sand the edges so they fit nicely like that. Here I take the rings out, and of course I have to sand off the sides to make them flat and smooth. This is where a thickness sander would actually come in, but I don't have a thickness sander, so I just use my benchtop belt sander and try to flatten off the boards and the rings the best I can to glue them into sections for the project I'm working on. Once the pieces are glued, the rings are all glued together, the pieces are glued in the shapes. I'm ready to put them on the lathe. And here we're shaping the very top of the lamp here. Using my scraps of wood, as you can see there, I've got a bit of a gap where the wood didn't quite join up flat, so I'll have to fill that. Here I'm trimming out the end to fit on. I make mortise and tenon joints for most of the work. You can see I filled that crack there with sawdust and CA glue. Now just finish up shaping this end. Pretty much to the shape that I'm looking for, and I didn't show the sanding part. You can still see where I filled that with the sawdust and glue. Hopefully when it's all together it'll look beautiful. It'll just look like a bark inclusion. But here now I've sealed it and I put the shine juice on, buffing it up. Very nice. Now separating the tenon glue on the strap piece. And I actually didn't cut it all the way up. I took it over to the bandsaw. I'm just cutting it out. Now I'm just reversed it in the chuck. You can see I've got a blue cloth there, so I'm not marking it up. I'm just shaping the end. We'll sand it. I did sand these pieces from 120 right up to 800. Here I'm adding sealer and final shine juice. And here we move on to the next piece of the lamp, which is the body, the centerpiece. And I'm just boring it out here for the cords and such to go through, the light fixture to see in. If you notice, this video took a while for me to complete, or this job took a while for me to complete. If you see on the floor to the right corner there, top corner, it's wet. Well, we had a lot of snow in Saskatchewan the last little bit, and we had a good couple feet laying around all over the place, and then all of a sudden it got warm. It melted all that snow within about 3 days, and of course all that water came into my shop. So I spent 3 or 4 days probably pumping water out of the trap and digging trenches out front of my shop door to redirect the melting snow water, and then had to wait for it to dry up enough. I didn't want to be in there creating shavings on a floor soaked in a half-inch of water. So that's why this video was taking a while for me to get up. It's been a couple of weeks since I put a video up. But when you can't work, you can't make a video. Anyways, I'm just shaping the shape of the lamp here. Another thing you'll notice about this body is, I said before, I don't have a thickness sander. So I sand all my pieces, and you can see it's a little wonky. The pattern in there, the center line is a bit all over the place, and it probably could have been for me using different scraps, but also when I made the segment ring, I probably didn't get it as flat as I should have, and then when I sanded it, it looks like it's got a little wobble in it. When it's stationary, not that noticeable, but as you turn it slowly, you can't see it. The other pieces all came out nicely, just this centerpiece. But I do believe when I put the lamp together, I will put the defect to the back where the cord is. So usually, if you have it on a table, that's where you face it. And here, of course, I'm shining it up and sealing it and putting the shine juice on it. I've got tenons on both ends now, so it can fit into the base and the top of the lamp. And here we go on the top piece of the lamp. Just rounding it off. As I said, the pattern in my segment ring came out quite nicely on the top and the base. On the top piece here, I did not have any maple to use to put maple on either side on top and bottom of the segment ring. So it's just oak and segment ring. So yes, it looks a little different than the other two patterns, or other three patterns, since there's a very top to this one. But I guess in a few minutes you will see how it all fits together and what the finished product looks like. Here I'm just matching up my mortise with the size of the tenon. I like to have a snug fit, so it does take a little bit of hit and miss until you get it just to that right size. Take a little bit out, checking it. Still a little tight. Take a little more out, checking it. Check depth. If you get these too sloppy when you put the pieces together, they don't line up right, or it's hard to line them up properly. As you can see, I've drawn a pencil line on there, and that's showing me where the outside of the other piece will be. So I don't want to taper underneath it, or it looks weird. I want it to fit flat onto the body of the lamp. And that is the side that's going to fit onto the body. And the other end will be the top where the light hits. And as I was doing this, of course, what you're going to see is you won't see me putting all the finish on. I think you'll see where I get it flipped around, I get it shaped, and I sand it, and I put the sealer on, and I shine it up once. And here's the sealer. But my camera or the battery in my camera dies. And so the footage is a little broken as we go into the next piece here. Yes, I just get this reversed and start to shape out the other end of the top piece of the lamp, and the battery quits on the camera. And there it goes, the battery dies. So you didn't get to see me round off this piece, but this is the base of the lamp now, and I'm just figuring out what kind of shape I want to it. And I decide to go with a bell design. I like to leave the base a bit larger on the lamp as one of the largest pieces to the lamp to add weight and stability to the bottom. So when it's sitting on the table, it won't get knocked over as easily and keep it from being top heavy. I do not have an Etsy store or anything. I do some sales on Facebook or whatever. If you're ever interested in purchasing one of my lamps or one of my designs, I will leave a link how you can find me on Facebook in the description below, and I will also leave my email in the description below, and you can email me. And a lamp like this sells for, this one will sell probably for $100 Canadian. It's mainly leftover pieces of wood. It's cost material mainly that makes them so expensive. The time I put in is enjoyment time for me, so I don't look at it as too much labor, but it does take time to prepare them and everything. But I know you can't, just because it takes you 3 days to create something, I can't turn around and say, okay, I need $500 for this piece. Nobody's going to pay $500 for that. I also do other things. I've made birdhouses, as you can see, candle holders, Christmas ornaments I can make. If you have an idea of something you want made, you could email me and let me know. But here I'm just putting on the sealer and the shine juice. Very shortly you see me putting glue in the end, and I assemble all the pieces of the lamp together on the lathe, and then I bring up the tailstock to hold it and put pressure on it and leave it overnight for it to dry before I finish wiring it. There you go, I put it together. Well, here it is, my latest lamp. This one was basically made out of scrap ends and such that I had out in the shop. Beautiful finish on it. Just shining. Yes, this was Wood Second Life. Put up a challenge to make things out of scrap pieces. So I dug around and found some end boards. This is basically oak, maple, and sapele. It looks like when it's turned on. I really need to set up a box to do these glamour shots. Turn out some lights. The glass has pine needle design on it. Hope you like.